Hi everyone, it's Nick here, and welcome to the Shedding Skin podcast, or Shedding Pod as I'm probably going to abbreviate it to, because I am Australian, so I'm lazy, and wherever we can, we just seem to lose syllables. Okay, I'm going to play for you the Shedding Pod musical introduction. Here we go.
What is real?
It's all in his mind.
How do you define real?
Purely psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy.
Beethoven had his critics too.
This is your life.
But it still hurts.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go.
I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
You know, we're living in a society.
That boy needs therapy.
We all do.
You know what divine intervention is?
Get your kids, Marty.
What's really going to bake your noodle later on is...
They didn't stop to think if they should.
What just happened here was a miracle.
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
So what are you gonna do about it?
You gotta grow up.
But how?
You have to let it all go to free your mind.
I'm scared.
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
Okay, so that intro is an attempt to express something odd about me, in that I often think in movie and TV quotes and song lyrics. And as an elder millennial, most of the pop culture quotes that I hear are from the 90s and the surrounding years. So here's an example. Every single time I'm at the airport, which admittedly has been very few times since something big happened in the world in 2020, I hear Martin Lawrence from the 1995 movie Bad Boys say,
You forgot your boarding pass.
as he then proceeds to fire a small handgun towards a plane with barrels of ether nearby, which conveniently explodes and kills the bad guy. Thanks Jerry Bruckheimer. Now, I'm not even saying that's a good movie, and I don't even know the name of another movie that Martin Lawrence has ever even been in, except for like the Bad Boys sequels. Of course, we all know Will Smith.
Uh-oh. Oh, wow.
Keep my wife's name out your f***ing mouth.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Will, I think you had too much ayahuasca in Peru. Anyway, Bad Boys was released when I was 14, and they had recently introduced MA 15 plus ratings for movies in Australia at that time. And the cinemas would check IDs to only allow in teens 15 years and over. So that movie is important to my formative development, if you will. Because I bought a ticket to see Jumanji before sidestepping it and sneaking in to watch Bad Boys. We did the same with Species, Copycat and Braveheart, which were all MA as well. It was probably good we didn't catch other classic but R-rated 1995 films like Casino, Seven, Desperado and Kids. I think we were a bit young for those. But we did settle on the lower-rated 12 Monkeys, Outbreak, Dangerous Minds, Waterworld, which I loved, I don't care if it tanked, and Ace Ventura, all of which I remember seeing at either El Dorado cinemas or the Birch Carroll and Coyle cinemas, both of which were in Indooroopilly. God, I saw every single movie at the cinemas in the 90s. So the point is, I can't be at the airport without hearing that in my head. And my hope is that now, the next time you're at the airport, as you step towards the gate, suddenly you'll hear,
You forgot your boarding pass.
just like I always do. Sorry, not sorry. So yeah, I hope you liked that little musical intro. And yes, there's a little bit too much Morpheus from The Matrix. Fun fact about Morpheus. Morpheus was the Greek god of dreams, son of Hypnos, the god of sleep. And in The Matrix, Morpheus, of course, is the one who wakes up Neo to the new and more real and more awful reality.
You've been living in a dream world.
Yeah, we all use social media. But that's not the fun fact. Fun fact is that morphine, the opium poppy-derived narcotic, was named after Morpheus, the Greek god, not the movie character. Obviously, because when you take it, you float off into a lovely dream-like state. Now, I wouldn't know anything about that. I've never taken morphine, at least that I can remember. Anyway, so starting this podcast talking about drugs is a bit of a harbinger, as we will definitely be doing more of that. Okay, my plan for this intro isn't to blather on all day about 90s movies, because...
That would be a waste of time.
Ah, yes, Anthony Kiedis from the Chili Peppers in 1991's Point Break, in his finest acting role, because it was really his only acting role. Oops, got stuck on movies again. Okay. This is an introduction to the Shedding Skin podcast, and I am speaking into a microphone at the moment.
Speak into the microphone, squid brain.
That is another quote that I hear in my head from the same movie every time I go to speak into a microphone, which I'm doing right now. And I also hear Jack White singing.
Well, any man can tell you what he loves the most.
All right. A few minutes now on what this podcast is and what my motivations are for starting it. So this first season is going to be an audiobooky episodic podcast series of my memoir called Shedding Skin: Confessions of an Itcholic, which I wrote over the last few years. The Confessions of an Itcholic byline narrowly beat out Tales from a Calamitous Nervous System, and the less glamorous middle-class white boy with eczema searches for meaning of life during confusing 90s. So this memoir is part chronicle of a chronic health sufferer. The main question being asked here is, can a healthy mind develop in a constantly inflamed and disrupted body? It's also part psychological thriller. Question being, will he survive the strict rules, friendship betrayals, and lack of emotional parenting techniques of the 90s? It's also part philosophical tome. Questions being, can he understand his brain and discover the meaning of life so that he can figure out how to parent his own kids? It's also part exploration, critique of generational parenting techniques. Questions including, is addiction, trauma, and shouting heritable? And it's part exploration of drugs, alcohol, and altered states, with musings including, can he find a way to face himself with altered states, or are they just for hiding from oneself? And all rollicking adventure through 80s and 90s culture. It's music, TV, movies, even religion and advertising. So further to that, it's about my search for authenticity and connection through the fog of isolation and itchiness. It's about drugs, legal and illicit, and alcohol, loss and paranoia, and becoming a new parent and the calamitous catastrophes that befell me as I began to raise new people. It's also about awe and the cliche of searching for and hopefully finding self-love. Guiding us through this, as is always the case with me, will be the mystical poets of my generation, rock stars. So that's a little summary of the first season of content episodes coming up. They have been lovingly recorded, edited and spliced with many sound effects, video game themes and movie clips and other oral delights for your listening pleasure. Shedding Pod is also going to have content episodes interspersed with interview episodes. I'm really excited about sharing the first interview. It's about obsessive compulsive disorder, which is something I talk about in my memoir. The guiding theme of these interviews, if I need one at all, is going to be something like ordinary people speaking about their most extraordinary moments. It could be parenting, addiction, enlightenment, whatever that is. I'm keeping it pretty broad. The general theme in my writing, and therefore in this podcast, is facing fears, shedding skin as a metaphor for letting go of old ways and being better people. Like, not in a Tony Robbins kind of way. Like, I find so much of the language around self-improvement to be really inaccessible. So just betterness in the ordinary, boring ways that we all strive for constantly that actually make our lives more valuable. If you're wondering like who I am, what I'm about, you'll be best to just have that come through in my content. But here's a start. I'm an elder millennial. I'm an urban, slightly greying, upright male primate of Anglo descent, doing fathering and husbanding whilst living in a democratic society on a large continent island, Australia, who often forgets which bin should be put out on Sunday night. There's an app for that. I'm a pacifist, feminist, humanist, technologist, atheist, rationalist, progressivist, and who wants all the people of the world to find peace, love, and understanding. Did I mention I'm a naive optimist? Anyway, I'm all those things and plenty more.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
But at least, if anything there offended you, fair warning. To wrap up this little intro episode, it was Tom Hanks playing washed-up drunk Jimmy Dugan in A League of Their Own from 1992, who said,
"Well, anything worth doing is worth doing right."
Of course, he was saying that about scratching his groin for an hour during a ball game. But the point being, like, I'll stuff up this podcasting thing at some point if I haven't already. But I'm giving it a go and doing my best, despite often finding creative pursuits, as well as life, pretty bloody hard. Jimmy Dugan also said,
"It's supposed to be hard. The hard is what makes it great."
Ah, wise words, Jimmy. The first content episode out of 10 is up already. I promise to only do super short intros to the content episodes, so you can sort of dive in quickly to what I've created and see if it's for you or not. Thanks for listening, and reach out to me on Substack, sheddingskin.substack.com. In the comments there, if anything here lands, or if you've got anything you want to share, I'd love to hear from you.
You forgot your boarding pass.